Okay, today we're going to be learning what's called the clipping mask tool, and we'll be using that to perform the initials collage assignment. So to start, what we're going to do is basically make a document that combines text and images in Photoshop, and we'll see that as we go through. The very first thing you need to do before you start, before you look for pictures or anything else, is you need to think, what are your initials? Some of us have 2 last names, some of us have 2 middle names, so you have to actually see, what are my initials? Mine are RJL, so I have 3 initials. That lets me know that for this project, I'm going to have to get 3 pictures. You need 1 picture for each one of your initials. And you can simply use Google to find your pictures. Now, for those pictures, you want things, once again, that tell us a little bit about you. So I'm going to think of, well, what are 3 things that I really like? You'll see already down at the bottom of the screen, I've already downloaded a picture of a laptop because I like technology. I've downloaded a picture of a guitar because I enjoy music and guitar. The third thing that I'm going to download is, we all know that I love football. So I'm going to go ahead and search for a picture of football or a football and see what I can find. Here's one right here, so I'm just going to right click, save that image as, and save it to my Photoshop folder. Perfect. Now, I'm going to go back to Photoshop after I have my pictures for each one of my initials, and I'm going to do a new blank file. Now, I need to call this thing initials underscore, and then put your actual initials in there. We're once again going to go 8 wide by 10 high. Make sure that your resolution is set to 300. Make sure your color mode is set to RGB, and don't forget, these can't be in pixels. They got to be in inches. Okay, so make sure your units are set to inches. Alright, let's start. So I said we were going to combine text and images, and we're not quite seeing how that works yet. The first thing we need to do is we need to click on our text tool, which takes a moment. There it is. And I want you to make a nice big text box, very big. You're going to type your first initial. Now mine's R. I've got to do a couple changes. Number 1, I don't want this to be yellow. I want a nice dark color, so I'm going to choose black. I also want a nice big size, but I've run out of sizes to choose. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and type in my own size, like 300. The last thing I'm going to do is I want to choose a new font, and I want something big. There's all sorts of stuff like Gaudy Stout. There's Stencil is a great one to use, Impact. I'm going to search for Stencil because it works really well for this project. There we go, I've got my R. Now, what I recommend is immediately after you type your letter, click on your Move tool up here. You might have to click it a couple times, and then drag your R over so that's not in the way, or your initial over so it's not in the way. And then make your second box. Should still be set to 300 and Stencil or whatever your options were. So I've got J. And once again, notice I'm making a separate text box for each one of them, and it's also creating their own layers. That's very important. That's why we're actually making a different text box for each letter. I've got a new text box with an L in it. Click my Move tool a couple times and drag that down. Okay, so I've got 3 separate layers, 1 for each initial. So far, so good. Here's the fun part. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to start bringing in the images that I've saved from Google. So I'm going to go File, Place, and then first one I'll do is the football picture. So I'll click that, hit Place. Now it's pretty big right now, and I'm going to go ahead and resize it. Basically, you just don't want it any smaller than the letter that you will be combining it with. Now, it still may be fuzzy to you. What do you mean combining it with? Let me show you, but there's a few steps before I do. I'll hit the check mark here. And what I have to do to combine these 2 things together is I need to make sure that the picture is directly over the letter I want it to combine with. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this picture up to the very top, and all I do is click and drag to do that, and notice it's directly above the letter. Okay, the R layer, the football picture is directly above it. All I have to do now is put my mouse right between the two layers and hold Alt on my keyboard, and you'll notice this symbol with two circles pops up. That is the clipping mask symbol. If you simply click, you'll notice that the two things become combined. Now my letter R and the picture are both one. Now I can still move my picture around. If I click on my R layer, I can still move my letter R around, or should be able to. Might take some playing around to figure that one out. But both of them are combined. Okay? So the second thing I want to do is now go back up to File, Place. Let's get our second thing, the guitar picture. A little bit too big for me here, so I'm going to resize. Once again, just being careful not to go too small. Don't want to be any smaller than the letter. I'll hit check. Now this one I'm going to combine with the J, so I need to pull my guitar picture right over the J. Go between the layers, hit Alt, and click. Second one's done. Okay, third one, File, Place. Get that picture of the laptop. Get it a decent size. Something like that should work. Okay, hit the check mark. Make sure my laptop picture is right over the L. Hold Alt, click, and we're all good. Okay, so now I've created an initials collage. Okay, it shows a little bit about me. It's a cool effect that we haven't used before. So far this thing looks okay. What I want to do now is add a little bit more to it because it's kind of bland. So you could add brushes, you could add additional pictures around, you could add more text like your favorite quote, whatever. You could add shapes, lines, whatever. One thing I'm going to do, just a basic quick trick to make it look a little bit better, is you can click on this background layer, which is the white part in the back, and you can either put a gradient in here if you want to play around and see what that's all about. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. One thing that's really easy though is just the quick fill tool, and all you have to do with this is choose a color that looks good to you. I really like light blues, so I'm going to choose a light blue and just click on that background, and voila, you got a nice looking background here. Okay. Once again, you could add brushes, text, all that other stuff. When you're done with this, you're going to want to save it as a Photoshop file first, like everything else, so it'll have this nice blue PSD file. That way if you want to go back and edit it, you can. We're going to save it a second time. We're going to do a file save as again. This time we're going to switch to a new file type. This is called a JPEG, and this is the most common picture type. When you pull up a picture on Google or on your phone or whatever, this is what it is a JPEG image 9 times out of 10. It's a small file size with good resolution, and this is great for uploading things to Google Classroom. So we're going to go ahead and save it again as a JPEG. Hit OK. And then you simply go out to Google Classroom, click on the Open button on our Initials Collage assignment, hit Add, File, then select File from Computer, go out and get your JPEG image and upload it and turn in. If you have any questions, please feel free to seek help from classmates or myself. Good luck, have fun with it, and let me know if you need help.